Hi there, welcome to today's painting tutorial. Today we are going to paint a mouse with acrylic paints, so let's get started. I'm going to start with a size 0 round brush. Let's pick up some black paint and put in the eye area. Just do a thin line. And then we'll put some of that black around the nose and coming down under the mouth. And then a little bit in this ear. I'm going to rinse that black off of the brush. Pick up a little bit of this burnt umber. I'm going to go around the eye and the ear area. And then a little bit around the mouth. Okay, so now let's work one section at a time. And let's start with the nose. So I'm going to use some of this pink color. And let's put that around the top of the nose. And along the bottom of the mouth. Then we'll grab a little bit of beige. Bring some of that beige around. And then I'm going to pick up this gray color. This is a dark gray. So we'll put that around the mouth and allow it to blend with the other colors. Then I'm going to pick up some white and start feathering that white in and allow it to blend. I'm going to pick up some more pink and then bring that up along the bridge of the nose. Then take a little bit of this burnt sienna and let's outline that nose a little bit so that we have a little more definition. Just bring out the shape. Okay, now let's work on the ears. So pick up some pink and let's mix it with some of this burnt sienna. And then put that in as the next layer. I'm also going to pick up some of this purple and use that to go around the ear. This is a nice shadow color. And then we'll pick up some white and start bringing out the highlights. So we can bring some around this left side of the ear and then along the front. And then I'll pick up some more pink and mix that in. And then some of this burnt sienna. I'm going to go around with the burnt sienna just to define the shape a little bit more. Now let's work on the ear in the back. So let's take some burnt sienna, put some along this area. And then pick up the pink and allow it to mix together. Then you could add a little bit of white for a highlight. And then let's put some pink in the center of the eye along the top edge. And then let's pick up some gray and bring that around the eye. Just go around the outside. Try to leave the details that you already put in there. And then as we go out, let's feather it with some white paint. And try to get a nice blend there. And then you can pick up some of this purple and add a bit of a shadow. And then we'll do more white paint and go around that purple. Allow the paint to mix and start bringing that shape out. Okay, I'm going to add a little more white. Continue to feather it along this edge. And now let's add some more shadow. So you can use this purple color as a shadow as well as the gray. So we'll put some shadow underneath the ear and along this area. Then we'll come down this way. So let's work on this arm here. I'm going to put some shadow underneath the chin and along this area, then underneath the arm. And grab the sketch in the description below so that you can paint along and follow that sketch. These darker shadows are sort of where the outline is with the pencil. Come down this way. While that's still a little bit wet, let's mix up some gray and some white and some of this purple. And start using that as a transition color. So it's just a little bit lighter than that dark gray. And then add some white. And then we can start feathering that in. That goes sort of in the middle of the arm and this area here of the leg. This is in shadow and then gets just a little bit lighter over here. And let's actually work on the feet and the tail. So to do that, I'm gonna take some burnt umber and do a little bit of an outline on the toes, just going underneath them. And then while it's still wet, let's pick up some pink. See if we can put that on top. Just a little bit of paint. Allow it to mix on top of that burnt umber. And create a nice smooth blend. Okay, and now let's do the tail. So let's do that same thing. I'm going to take some of the burnt umber. Let's actually mix it with some purple, just so that it's not too harsh. And then start going around the outside edge of the tail. Try to get a crisp edge at the tip. And then let's add some gray. That's another shadow color. It's just going to give us a little bit of variety. And rinse the brush and we'll get lighter. So I'll take this white paint. Let's pick up the pink. So I'm bringing this around and allowing it to mix with those other colors that are still on the page. And then let's put some beige in there. So we'll pick up a little bit of the beige. Again, that'll give us a nice color variety, a little interest. And then I'm going to pick up the white and put a little bit of a highlight on this top edge. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to that dark shadow color that has the purple and the burnt umber and start making some lines across the tail. Need to get a little bit darker. Just make these little lines to create this different sections of the tail. I'm going to pick up a little bit more pink and sort of highlight that in on the different sections. Okay, now let's continue with the rest of the body. So I'm gonna take some of this shadow color and let's start putting that around this outside edge here. Pick up some gray, get a really dark contrast right along this bottom. Then we can get lighter. Let's pick up some of this white color and start feathering it in. And with this round brush, you can create hair-like texture with the brush. Bring some white around this ear. And then up this way. I'm gonna switch to, I have a bristle brush that is a size 0. I'm gonna put some white paint on there and see if we can use that to get some nice textured brush strokes. And then we wanna continue with this shadow here. So let's put some of that purple gray and bring, sort of need to emphasize this back leg here. So we need a little bit of shadow. Bring some down this way. And then you can transition into the white. Start adding that white in while the paint is still wet. Just think about the direction that the hair is growing. Get these nice painterly brush marks. Okay, and now you can think about where some of these highlights are going to be. Let's put some around the top of the head here. And then we need to come back here around the muzzle. Put some brush strokes there for the mouth. And then up along this top of the nose. Can come back around this area. Just coming on top of that shadow. And I'm going to curve that around here. Okay, so now let's grab a 0 liner brush. I'm going to roll that into the white paint. I added some water on there so that we can get a really nice thin line. And now let's add over above the ear, let's start adding just some individual hairs and even around the body. So you could go up and just go a little bit past the edge just to create some hair texture. And that's mostly going to show up when you're going on top of the darker paint. And then let's put some whiskers on here so you can just sort of flick the paint on that brush. Try to create some really thin whiskers. And we actually need some dark lines, or dots rather, so let's pick up some gray. And with this brush, right on top of that white, just see if you can make some little dots for where the whiskers will be growing out of. Then we'll go back to that white paint. And then bring some of these whiskers connecting to those dots. Come out this way. Okay. And now you could also add some final highlights onto the feet. So let's try that with some white paint. Just do some thin little white marks. And that could add just a little bit of highlight to the feet. You could add some gray on the tips if you wanted to create little claws as well. Just another added detail. And then let's take some white paint and maybe do a little bit, a few little lines around the eye just to blend that in a little better. If you wanted to do some gray whiskers, you could also put some of those in on top of the white and that'll show up a little bit better. Okay. All right, and I think we will call this painting complete. Thank you so much for painting along with me. Like and subscribe for more painting tutorials, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.